Hi, I'm Kwame, and if you are new here, welcome to my channel. On this channel, we talk about financial and personal growth, and today we're going to be talking about why I left an investment company to actually work at a tech company. So if you've ever wanted to get into a job in any industry, I'd highly suggest working with a consulting company to get your foot into the door. That's how I got my first job, working as an IT analyst at Wells Fargo. I would determine what applications the developers needed when they were joining a new team. Basically, I was running code in whatever programs were needed for the job that they would be going into. I'd be running code in Visual Studio or Toad or SQL Server Management Studio. But that was my first full-time job out of college, and the salary ranged between $50,000 and $65,000 a year. I realized early on I needed to leave that job, and my manager at the time was terrible. And the job was so boring that my coworker actually fell asleep while she was training me. So I quit. And that was one of the worst times in my life. I was broke, recently graduated, and had no idea what to do. So I picked up dropshipping and became a multimillionaire. And end of story. Thank you for coming. No, I'm kidding. I did look into dropshipping and starting my own consulting company, but I was so strapped for cash, I decided to continue my pursuits working in finance again. I must have went on at least 300 job interviews before I landed a job that I actually wanted. What I will say, in interviewing 300 plus times,
damn! I'm sorry.
You learn so much about yourself, and really you learn how to sell yourself. And I think that the knowledge that I gained while I was interviewing is invaluable. But I actually ended up getting a promising interview with the team that I first worked on when I went to Wells Fargo. But the interesting thing about that interview was, after talking with the hiring manager, it turns out that my previous boss had told him that I did not know what I wanted to do with my career and that I wouldn't be a valuable resource to the team. And so after that, I actually did not get that job. And subsequently, I pulled up to my former boss's office and did this. No, but seriously, that rejection was actually the turning point in my career. And you'll notice that rejection actually can be redirection. Very soon after that, I got a job. I was working in corporate investment banking at Wells Fargo as a business analyst. And my salary ranged from around $65,000 to $75,000. I had one of the greatest managers ever. JR, if you're watching this, you're the GOAT. Working with him taught me so much, like how to code better with Visual Basic and overall better data analysis skills. But he also taught me about the financial industry and how important financial literacy is. Retirement accounts, compounding interest, frugality. And he was also the first person to talk to me about where I wanted to go next in my career and how he could actually help me to get there. So I ended up working for him for some time, and he ended up moving on, and I ended up taking his place. Taking his vacant position as a senior BA, I received a pretty good salary bump, and that ranged from around $85,000 to $94,000. So I played that role for some time, working my way around and working my way up. Going to corporate networking events, shaking babies and kissing hands, until I felt there was no more vertical movement and I had to go somewhere else. So I thought naturally the best next step for me would be going into a tech company. So I dialed in, did my research, I started interviewing heavily and realized it would take a bit more experience for me and it would look nice if I had some certifications as well. I ended up enhancing my coding skills, got really good with Python and R and statistics. I got heavy into trading and data modeling, and my old manager coincidentally reached out about an opportunity working in market risk and investment banking. I checked the potential salaries on the website and I was like, holy. So I applied for a market risk consultant position, interviewed, and got rejected. But again, rejection is just redirection, and I never take it personally. But I used that interview as leverage to increase my salary at the time. And my salary went to around $112,000. But after about 8 months, the hiring manager for the market risk position that rejected me actually reached out because I established such a good relationship with him during the interview. And 8 months later, I was looking at a salary at around $140,000 to $150,000. But I knew I didn't want to be there. I knew this was all just me playing leapfrog from job to job, increasing the salary without really doing much. And so after about a year, I was back on the job hunt again. I was interviewing at Google, Apple, Microsoft, pretty much any Fortune 100 tech company, mostly FANG. And so I locked in and started looking at the job descriptions, and I applied to jobs where I checked off all the boxes. But keep in mind, your job chooses you, but also you choose who you work for. Your manager or CEO can impact not only your career, but your life. I got a few offers from Google and Microsoft, but I wanted something I was actually good at and would enjoy. So after a year of applying and interviewing, I finally got a job in tech, doing exactly what I wanted to do, and I've been here ever since. So now let's talk about working in both industries. First, total compensation. Both are pretty good when you get past your junior level, but both can start quite low. Admittedly, in the banking industry, your salary will start off significantly lower, but still competitive total comp. But what I will say is this depends on the role. There are more opportunities to become millionaires quicker working in banks and in normal sales roles. I know several traders and investment bankers who make upwards of $1.2 to $3 million a year working in normal roles. Whereas in tech, you'd see most millionaires have had their shares since the company IPO'd, or in larger tech companies, you'd see people who've had their stock accumulated over time for 10, 15, or 20 years. Going into a little bit more about the salary, let's talk about base and bonus. So base salary, again, in tech starts off higher, even at an entry level. Bonuses will separate into cash and equity. Your bonuses are pretty large in the banking industry. Even at an entry level, my bonus was a fixed 10%, but I had gotten upwards of 30% of my base at the time, which was around $115,000. And that could have put my total comp to around $150,000. Whereas in the tech industry, it is completely based on economic conditions, and your bonus can actually range from 0 to 20% at an entry level. So the second part of this is equity. In finance, you typically don't receive equity until you're a director, whereas in tech, you can receive equity when you join the company in an entry level position. Medical benefits are about the same for both. I'd say both are competitive, just depends on the coverage you choose. If you pay a higher coverage, you'll have a lower deductible for the year, which I believe is competitive in most industries. Retirement accounts, both offer traditional retirement accounts like Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, standard 401ks and IRAs, and other standard retirement plans as well. For paid time off at a tech company can be unlimited. For me, it is unlimited, and I know a lot of my colleagues whose PTO is unlimited also, especially in fintech, and they can work remote, which means that you can work pretty much wherever you want in the world. Whereas on the other hand, in finance, and talking to my colleagues that still work in financial institutions, you have to go into the office around 2 to 3 times a week. But in the banking industry, I believe it is up to a month and a half accrued PTO. Maternity leave is equal for both. Here in the US, it is about 12 weeks, although for the tech company I work for, mothers get an additional 8 weeks. And I've noticed with other tech companies as well, they tend to be quite generous with mother's time off. Company culture to me is the most important, I'd say. Tech culture is more relaxed, but there's always push for new technology, and the employees are the guinea pigs. So for instance, for us, there's a push to use regenerative AI or large language models to assist in everyday tasks, and in the company-wide hackathon. Also leveraging cloud-based architecture and also cloud-based programming, as opposed to finance companies, which seem to use a bit of legacy systems and legacy data architecture. But I think overall, both industries are great choices, and you learn a lot in both. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys how much I make now. So I make around,
A few moments later.
yeah, they're at. Oh, are you guys still here? Listen, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Find out how much I make on the next episode.